This physics presentation topic will be based on the Canadian invention known today as the cardiac, transcutaneous, or external pacemaker. Before we begin, I'd like to clarify that there are various types of pacemakers for more than just the heart muscle. Due to the limited amount of time, I'll only be discussing about the external pacemaker primarily. Before I dive right into this topic, we need to know how the heart functions and produces a heartbeat, and most importantly, what happens when the heartbeat rhythm becomes irregular. So here's a brief electrophysiology lesson. The heart has 4 chambers, right and left atrium and right and left ventricles. Near the right atrium, you have the sinoatrial or SA node. This is your natural pacemaker and is responsible for your internal electrical system, which controls the rhythm of your heartbeat. Each electrical signal originates from your SA node. The electrical signal travels through the atria, causing them to contract, which ultimately pumps blood to the ventricles. When the electrical signal makes its way to the ventricles contract, pumping blood to the rest of the body. This dual contraction of the atria and ventricles produces the heartbeat. So in short, your internal electrical system stimulates your heart to beat. But sometimes the rhythm of a heartbeat becomes slower, higher, or just simply abnormal, which means that there's a problem with the electrical system in the heart. In the event of an arrhythmia, which means abnormal heart rhythm, the heart can't pump enough blood to the body, so then an artificial pacemaker is required for the patient because the natural one in the body, the sinoatrial node, can't do its job. Whether or not I was in that class that day, but I'm pretty sure Mr. LeBreton discussed about electrical current and its properties. In the article, Pacemakers for Anesthesiologists Made Incredibly Simple, Dr. Arthur Wallace states, in some aspect, the functionality of the pacemaker is of a drug delivery device. An electrical current is the flow of electrons and the drug delivered are electrons. So the current is the dose of electrons per second. An artificial external pacemaker is basically a medical device which consists of a battery, electronic circuits, computer memory, and electrodes. The device's job is simply to sense and pace the heart. The device senses the heart by measuring the produced voltage of the heart when it contracts. If the voltage detected is at a different number from the adequate one, it paces the heart by delivering electrical currents which are really small and are measured in milliamps. The current travels through the electrodes which are placed in 2 different locations on the upper body. This as a result brings the heart's rhythm to an optimal range through electrical stimulation. Artificial external pacemakers are most usually utilized best in emergency medical situations. They are also considered as non-invasive, meaning the pacemaker electrodes won't be placed directly inside the heart. If the arrhythmia persists for a prolonged period of time, a small artificial pacemaker is implanted within human tissue permanently. On a relating topic, most people confuse pacemakers with defibrillators. This next video will help you understand the difference. Defibrillators deliver a strong shock of around 200 to 300 joules of energy to restart the heart or to get it back to an optimal range in the event of a life-threatening heart rhythm or a cardiac arrest. The defibrillator in the video can also function as an external pacemaker. Innovation throughout the years have now led to the development of small dual pacemakers and defibrillators. So that big dual pacemaker and defibrillator you saw Mr. Bean holding can now be shrunk down to 2 to 3 inches and be placed inside you if an abnormal heart condition persists. It would then be able to pace the heart and even shock it in the event of an arrhythmia. In the late 40s to early 50s, John A. Hobbs, a Canadian engineer, developed the world's first external artificial pacemaker at the Banting Institute at University of Toronto. Cardiac surgeons at Toronto General Hospital, Dr. Bigelow and Dr. Callaghan, also contributed to the development of the device. After this invention was introduced to the Canadian Society, John Hobbs earned the title as the father of Canadian biomedical engineering. John Hobbs was later made an officer for the Order of Canada and a member of the Canadian Science and Engineering Hall of Fame. Dr. Andre Lozano is the chair of neurosurgery at University of Toronto and a prestigious researcher. Dr. Lozano practiced treating neurological disorders such as Parkinson's, depression, anorexia, and Alzheimer's using deep brain stimulation. He and his team are currently researching on how to treat other neurological conditions. Dr. Andre Lozano also made a speech on deep brain stimulation and its benefit on TED Talks. I highly suggest you go and watch the full video because it's really an eye-opener on how how far we've gotten in the field of science and what the scientific community is aiming to achieve in the field of medicine. Dr. Lozano and other researchers in this field are able to identify areas in the brain that are responsible for neurological conditions such as depression and Parkinson's. In DBS, a pacemaker is implanted near the collarbone of the patient, and its fine probes, which have the same function as the electrodes in cardiac pacemakers, are able to deliver electrical impulses in the specific region of the brain to treat it. Here's just one of the many outcomes of using DBS as a treatment method.
Hi, I'm AJ. I'm 39 years old and I suffer from Parkinson's disease. With the power on, and okay, and this is me when I turn it off. If anyone thinks I'm faking this, I'm not. I can't control the tremors and dyskinesia. The twisting in my neck is... Party time is over. Oh, almost automatically.